Welcome back to Fire Emblem, everybody. We're finally actually gonna maybe play the video game, like, on our own, without being handheld through the entire experience. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna be tutorialized quite a bit over the next few episodes, but not as bad as the last one, where we had literally no agency. It was 100% scripted, and there was nothing we could do differently. We couldn't deviate at all. But it was the prologue. Now we're finally on Chapter 1, which is titled Footsteps of Fate. I do not know why, because most of the characters in this chapter ride horses. Don't want to spoil too much, but we get two new dudes in this chapter, and both of them are on horses. So I'm not entirely sure why it's called footsteps. I mean, horses do have footsteps, but typically that's referred to for people, right? They have hoof steps. So this is our Brock of the game, at least up to the point that I've gotten to. This is the I'm going to pursue every available female character in the game in order to woo her. Why? Because I guess you need one of those? Because it's funny? I'm not entirely sure why. I don't like that archetype that much. It's fun for a little while, but then it just gets annoying. I agree with Lynn. Let's just leave. Let's leave him in the dust. Meanwhile, this dude, our dude in red, Kent, which I'll have to be careful to say his name properly, like the good knight he is the straight-faced one, the very good guy, the actual good guy, as opposed to the good guy, Sane. I assume it's pronounced Sane. There are a lot of words in this game that I don't actually know how to properly pronounce. Like some of the towns and regions and whatnot, so I'm probably not gonna try in order to not make a fool of myself. But I think I'll be able to do most of the characters. If not, I'll just do it phonetically and just hope against all hope that the internet doesn't hate me too much for it. I already get enough hate on the internet. Which actually brings me... I thought about a topic prior to this recording because I felt like, well, in fact I knew that this episode was going to be pretty long, and I feel like this is an opinion that's going to get me a reasonable amount of hate on the internet. I only thought about one topic, by the way, so we're going to have to drag it out to 24 plus minutes. Or I guess I could just go off-brand and actually talk about the game. So this topic is plastic straws, which we have decided as a society we are against now. We don't like them because they are killing our animals. As opposed to all the other plastic, all the other garbage. Like, let's put it this way, the proportion of plastic straws compared to everything else is negligible. It's a nominal amount. And now we've got restaurants who are swapping out their plastic straws for cardboard straws, not in an effort to actually do good for the environment. They don't care. They're businesses, that's not their job. They're swapping them out for goodwill, and not like the company Goodwill, which I love. I think Goodwill does a lot of good, and sometimes I go there to buy cheap movies and other household things. I count movies as a household thing. I have more movies than I have anything else. But companies are doing this, restaurants are doing this, chain fast food places are doing this. Not because they care about the environment, they don't. Not because it actually makes a significant impact on the environment, which it doesn't. Think about how much garbage you throw out at a fast food place. Now think about how little that plastic straw actually accounts for in that total garbage consumption. It's not a lot. And they're swapping them out for, they call them paper straws. They're cardboard. At least the ones I've had. I've only had it at a couple of restaurants so far, but it's going to become a more widespread thing. I know McDonald's in the UK just decided to do this, and I presume that's going to come to North America, assuming that we still care about that whenever that decides to happen. Like, we could have moved on to something else by then. Like the little plastic things that the straw goes into, the lids. Make those cardboard. Here is the unpopular opinion, as we actually play the video game now. But we're still not actually playing. This is going to be more tutorialized stuff. We have to do like 2 or 3 turns of tutorial before we actually get to like play the game. So I don't like plastic straw, or I don't like cardboard straws. And people are going to be mad about that because the environment. But they taste terrible. You can't have a soft drink and have it taste the same coming through a cardboard straw, because your lips have to touch the cardboard straw. I don't know about you, I avoid cardboard touching my lips at all times. It doesn't taste good. There's a reason that, like, we don't put cardboard near our mouths. Just thinking about it makes me want to gag. And now you're putting my delicious soft drink, my diabetes in a glass, through that. It doesn't act as a filter either. If it acted as a filter, I'd be okay with it. But it doesn't. So we've got these companies who are making changes for the worse, for the sake of publicity, that are ruining my dining experience at a restaurant. And yeah, you can't really call it a dining experience if it's a fast food restaurant, but I think you can. You're still eating. You want to call it an eating experience? Fine, but I mean, it's dining. It's not fine dining. Fine dining's a different thing. But it's a dining experience if you eat in at a restaurant, I think. So then you have a decision to make, and it's not a good decision for the restaurant. You either don't order that drink because it's going to be ruined, or you don't eat at the restaurant. Either way, they're going to lose money. Now, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just the one who can't adapt to this very, very public conscious decision. But I don't think so. I refuse to believe, in fact, that it's just me. I think there's, at worst, a minority, at best, a majority out there that's not going to be happy with this, that's going to say, I don't know if I can keep drinking from these. And these restaurants now that have decided to do this are kind of stuck. Because once you get rid of the plastic, once you give in to that public pressure, although it's not really pressure either, like, people have already forgotten about this. People don't care about the plastic straws anymore, even. But once you make that decision, you can't go back. Once you've got the cardboard, you can't then switch to the plastic, because then people will skewer you. So, for example, A&W here in Canada, and I think it has some restaurants in America. I know you guys, Americans, know about A&W root beer, but like, it's a burger place here. And they're good burgers. Like, I prefer their burgers to most fast food, actually. They're more expensive, though, now. Especially now. But I do think they're better. They've done this. Now when I go to A&W, I have to make a decision. If I'm eating in, it's not that big of a decision because you can get a frosted mug and not have a straw at all. And that's obviously the best plan. Because then you've got the least waste for the environment. At least in theory. I don't know what the actual total energy consumption is to wash the dish as opposed to like create a straw and create a cup and whatnot. I'm sure it's less. It's gotta be less. Although I don't know what chemicals they use to clean those mugs. Maybe they're really harsh chemicals. You just don't know. And then all of the energy to frost the mug, to cool it to that point. Maybe it's worse. I don't know. But if I'm doing takeout or drive-through, I'm not getting a drink from there anymore. It's costing them business. And that's not a moral stand. That's not a, oh, look at how edgy I am. I'm not gonna stand for this awful environmentalism. No, it's not that. It's that I don't... It's the personal inconvenience, and that's bad, I know. But it's the truth. It's selfish, but it's the truth, and I think a lot of people are gonna be like that. Especially when it's something so minute, something so small. It's not a big deal. The straw is not making a big difference. Here's the other thing we have to consider, and this is perhaps the most important point of all. Milkshakes. You can't drink a milkshake through a cardboard straw. I mean, physically you might be able to. You might not be able to, though. They're thicker. I don't know if that affects the sucking capabilities of them. It might not. But milkshakes are only good through a plastic straw. I don't know if you've ever tried to drink a milkshake not through a straw, but for reasons that science has not yet determined, as far as I believe, it's not good. It's significantly worse than if you drink it through a straw. So what are you gonna do if you're a restaurant that serves milkshakes? Like McDonald's, occasionally, if their machine is not broken, which I know is like maybe a 10% chance, McDonald's serves milkshakes. What is McDonald's going to do if they decide to switch to these cardboard straws? They're not going to be selling milkshakes anymore. Now, that might only make a difference that 10% of the time, but McDonald's, 10% is still a lot of times. There's like 1 billion McDonald's in the world. So I'm just saying, this is bad and I do not like it. As such, we must stop it from becoming a big thing, the norm. Stand with me, and we will defeat this issue, this problem on our society. Also, you're free to hate me. I don't really care. I get enough hate on the internet. I bring a lot of it on myself. Some of it is planned, some of it is unplanned. This channel, outside of the Let's Plays, I think I'm going to keep the Let's Plays more or less in line with me as a person. But the other videos that I have planned, the other series that I have planned, are going to be a more trolling, more hyperbolic personality. you don't get anywhere on the internet being yourself. So that's what I'm going to try to do, at least. Not the Let's Plays. The Let's Plays, I mean, the Let's Plays are basically migrated into a one-person podcast, occasionally bringing up the video game. For instance, did you know that it's a triangle? The weapons in this game, it's rock, paper, scissors. They describe it like a triangle. It's rock, paper, scissors. Sword beats axe, axe beats lance, I think, is the other one. And then lance beats sword. There's a magic triangle too, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. This is actually a big tutorial level. It's taught us terrain, like if you're in a forest. I think it taught us terrain. I wasn't paying attention at all. But I think it mentioned something about terrain, where if you're in a forest, you're less likely to be hit. Your evasion goes up. And also, it's now teaching us how to trade, which is important because, especially early on, you don't have an ability to trade between battles. Until you get enough units that you have to actually select which units are going to partake in the battle, you can't actually trade out between the battles. You do eventually get that ability, but at this point, you don't. And I don't really need to use it that much, but if like someone's inventory is full and I want to take an item, well, that sucks. So you've always got to leave at least a slot open, ideally. Sometimes enemies drop items. If you can't take them, then you've lost that. And even if you didn't want the item, you could sell it. It's basically, you're just getting rid of money. And you don't want to do that. Now, if this wasn't a tutorial, I wouldn't have healed him there, most likely. I don't think that's optimal healing. I think you can heal more than, I think it was like 6. But I haven't actually tried. I don't know. I don't know how much you can heal. Also, yeah, if you're on a horse, if you haven't attacked, you can then move more. They take a long time to explain really simple concepts in this game, and I get it. Lots of people haven't played these types of games before. I have. Like, I've played XCOM, I've played Valkyria Chronicles, I've played Final Fantasy Tactics, I've played Pokemon Conquest, I've played Disgaea, I think is how you pronounce it. It's spelled weird, it's like D-I-G... or D-I-S-G-A-E-A, I think. Disgaea, I think. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Coliseum. That's a fun one. That one I beat. That's a short game. I think I beat that in like 6 hours. I played it like one day, and I beat it, and I was like, oh. Well, that was fun, but like, there's nothing to this game. Be a good one for the channel, actually. It's not the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game I want to play, though. I have a game in mind. It'll surprise you very little that it's for the Nintendo GameCube. But it's a JRPG with Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters set in a virtual world, and it is a lot of fun. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! The Falsebound Kingdom, I believe. That sounds right to me. So I'm gonna play that at some point. That's a plan. Because I really, really like that game. I think it's great. And not a lot of people have... I think people have heard of it. At least I hope they've heard of it. But I don't think a lot of people actually played it. I don't think it sold terribly well. It did come with like 3 cards that maybe people bought it for. It was like Zoa and Metal Zoa and Metal Morph, I think, were the cards. IIRC. Could be wrong, though. That could be a lie. No, because it came with a dragon, I think. Maybe it didn't come with Metal Morph. Maybe it didn't come with Zoa. I feel like Metal Zoa was in there, though. Because it came with a purple dragon. Or a pink dragon? Anyway, it's set... basically, there was a part of the show where they go into, like, a virtual world. I think there were actually 2 parts of the show where they go into a virtual world. There's, like, this spin-off, like, special event, like, 4-episode thing. And then there was also the filler season with Noah. Anyway, you go into the virtual world in this thing, and you command an army, basically. And it's kind of RTS-y in the sense that you have lots of bases and stuff, and you have to go to the bases on the map and either defend them or take them over. And you do it by commanding commanders who have 3 monsters. You load them up with 3 monsters, and then the battles are fought Final Fantasy style. Traditional JRPG style, in other words. And it's a lot of fun. It's really good. So definitely going to do that. That's almost a given. And I like how it's split up. It also has 3 stories, like this game. You have to do... So it has a Yugi story, a Kaiba story, and then a Joey story. You have to do the Yugi and Kaiba stories before you unlock the Joey story. The Yugi and Kaiba ones are similar, but not identical. Essentially... They're essentially the same, though. But they're split up into, like, 20 missions, and I figure I can do a mission a recording and keep it pretty short, keep it pretty... It'll work pretty well, I think. So I'm excited to play that. That'll be fun. It's a good game, too. Like, I think people need to play it, or experience it in some way. So we'll do that. I kind of want to play Capsule Coliseum again, or Capsule Monsters. I think it's Capsule Coliseum. I think that's what the name of it is. I think Capsule Monsters was the anime episode title or something. We'll see. I don't think the card games would translate well. I feel like... Well, one, that would be a really long thing. All of those card games, the campaign modes require you to beat people like 5-10 times. And it's just like, you have to do like 200 Yu-Gi-Oh! Matches in order to quote-unquote beat them. And I'm not about that life, to put it bluntly. The last Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, like, normal card Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that I even played was a GBA one. And I can't remember the title of it, but it was a really early one. I played the Game Boy Color one, where it was not Yu-Gi-Oh! Really. It was dumb. It was like your type mattered more than your like attack and defense points. Like if you had a blue eyes, so 3000 attack, and I think light always beat dark, so it was a light monster. Can't remember what beat light though. It was like Fiend or something. Let's say Karibo. Karibo's got like 200 or 300 attack. If you attack that blue eyes with that Karibo, let's just say the blue eyes would lose and it would die because its type was worse. It was a dumb game. That was like no, I can't think of the title. I'll look it up, maybe. Dark Duel Stories, maybe? I feel like that was one of them. I don't know if that's the GBA one, though. It might be. Or it might be the Game Boy Color one. Either way, I've only played 2 actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Games in my life. The rest have all been those spin-offs, which are actually more fun. Somehow. So I don't think I'd play one of the real Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, but I'd be interested in playing Capsule Coliseum again. Definitely want to play Falsebound Kingdom again. And the only other one would be like Dungeon Dice Monsters, but I think that would be more in line with like the normal Yu-Gi-Oh! I think you have to face people a whole bunch of times, and it's just really repetitive and boring. It doesn't have much of a story, if any. So I don't think I'd do that one, although that's a neat game. I did like that game. I had a friend who had that game, and I played it so much at his house, I think he just gave it to me eventually. Or maybe I found it at a pawn shop. I own it now. And I've played it a bunch. But I don't remember it having much, if any, of a story. Like, it might be a fun, like, one-off just to, like, showcase the game, but you can go elsewhere online for that. So I don't think that would go too well. But we'll see. We'll see how the channel does, where it goes. I mentioned that a lot, but, like, I don't know where this channel's gonna go. It's been stagnant for, like, a month now, as of this recording. Just doing Let's Plays doesn't seem to do much for you. So we'll see. I'm having fun still. Like, I'm not finding this unenjoyable. It gives me time to vent, to just talk, to practice my dictation, as well as a little bit of editing skills. Not a lot. Definitely not a lot. But there's a little bit of editing I've had to do for these. Especially for Super Monkey Ball. Super Monkey Ball was frustrating, to say the least. Required a lot of editing. But that's because I was bad at that game, and because that game is very difficult. Hopefully this series won't require that. If it does, it's going to be a slog of a series. It shouldn't. I'm decent at these games. Like, I'm not the best, and I definitely make mistakes. But as long as I'm, like, paying attention and I don't try to get too greedy, generally speaking, I should be okay. Oh yeah, Mario and Rabbids, that was another one of these types of games I've played. I really like these games. These are some of my favorite types of games. Like, Valkyria Chronicles is another one I probably will play at some point, because I love that game. Like, that game is in my top 10 of all of the video games that I've ever played. No, Lynn, I don't want you to decide. I want to decide. I want to leave you. I want to do something better with my life than direct you in battle. I want to become a swordsman. I don't get agency in this game. Not often, anyway. Occasionally the game will be like, hey, do you want to do a thing? And you'll be like, yes.